Hi, Elizabeth here from Art Studio Life. Today I'll be talking to you about thumbnail drawings and why they're important and how they will really help your painting. So a thumbnail drawing, here's an example of one. This is what I'll be demonstrating in this video and showing you how a thumbnail drawing is created and how to draw one. It's just a small drawing and it has just very, very basic light, medium, and dark values in it. And it helps you to simplify what you're seeing into basic value groups so that you kind of understand the big picture of what you're looking at. So if you're painting something, let's say you're painting a portrait and there's all sorts of different value changes that are happening. Whether you're painting a portrait or anything else, it's very complex. We see a lot with our eyes, too much actually, and we can't put all of that into a drawing or a painting. So that's where a thumbnail drawing comes in, and it helps you to simplify what you're seeing into basic value groupings. And it's so much easier to do that on a very small format and in black and white than it is on a larger painting and in color. And so I really, really recommend doing a thumbnail drawing, and I will show you how to create one in this video. So you can follow along with me. There's a link below if you would like the photograph and to look at it while I go along in this tutorial here. But you can also just create your own thumbnail, but I will be showing you exactly how to do it and the steps that you need to take. And this will really, really help you to create a realistic sense of light in your painting, because so much of that depends on how well you can simplify. And this thumbnail drawing really helps you to do that. All right, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the other side. Now to start this thumbnail drawing, I first use my piece of charcoal and I draw a box. In my case, I'm just drawing a square because the painting that I would be planning this for is a square shape. So if you're doing a rectangular shaped painting that you're doing this thumbnail for, then just make a rectangle. And I make a smaller size box. I typically recommend to do between 2 to 3 inches about for a thumbnail. This one is actually a little bit larger. It's a little bit over 4 inches. But again, it's better if you go more on the smaller side. Here I'm just doing a little bit larger for the purpose of demonstrating so you can see things easier and better. Having a frame for your thumbnail drawing makes it a lot easier because you have an area that you know that you're going to draw inside of, and it just keeps your drawing contained. Now in the upper left corner of this video, you'll see a photograph of this still life that I'm working from in this thumbnail drawing. So I'm actually working from this still life in real life, meaning that I'm seeing a still life in front of me in real life, and I'm not working from a photograph. But this photograph here is just taken from the still life I'm working from, so you get an idea of where and how I'm arriving at certain decisions in this drawing. So I first start out this thumbnail drawing by kind of picking out the left edge of that white jug. As you can see, there's a really clear kind of distinction and line between that white jug and then that very dark background. So I draw out that dark background and get kind of that silhouette of the left side of that jug. Now working with that long kind of base portion of the piece of charcoal really helps me to create those thicker lines. It's only when I need to create kind of finer lines do I actually use the tip of the piece of charcoal. I rarely do that though. But here I'm using the kind of side portion of the charcoal to create thinner lines and just to mark out the base portion of the jug to kind of, just for me to know where to mark out the shadow areas. And here I'm doing the very same thing at the top portion of the jug here, and that's also a dark shadow area. Now, the purpose of this drawing is not for it to be impeccable and correct in every way. It's not at all the point of this drawing. Rather, it's to understand the values of the subject matter. So where the big light and dark values are. So I'm not trying to be completely correct here in my drawing of the jug. There's definitely going to be mistakes. I'm just getting the gist of what the values are, and I'm just kind of getting a general idea of kind of the shape of this jug here. So don't spend a lot of time trying to get things absolutely right in this. Just get the basic things working. If you take a look at the photograph of the still life here in the upper left corner, you'll see that there's a shadow portion on this jug on the right side. It's actually stronger in real life if you look at it in real life, but you can still see a little bit of it present in the photograph. And so that's why I draw a light area of shadow on the jug on the right side in my thumbnail drawing. I then continue to darken the rest of that background area because that area is very dark. So far I have three main values present in this thumbnail drawing. I have a light value, which is the white of the page that's on the jug, and then I have a medium value, which is that shadow area that's on the jug on the right side, and then I have a dark value, which is the background portion that I am drawing in here as I draw the rest of the area. Now it's so important to simplify as you create a thumbnail drawing, because the point of this drawing is to understand and compartmentalize all the values that are happening and what you're seeing. We see so many different shades and kind of subtle variations of different shadows and different values, and it's important to group them together because we cannot paint all of those different values. We cannot draw all of them. It's physically impossible to do that. So that's why this little thumbnail helps us to understand that, understand more what values belong together. And here I'm grouping together all those dark values in the background, and I'm putting them together in one area so that when I approach the painting, it's much easier for me to figure out all the different values that are happening in the painting. If you take a look at the fabric part of the still life here, there's obviously a lot going on. It's a bit complex. There's a lot of different light values, and there's different shadow areas, and there's just a lot happening. And so I'm simplifying what I'm seeing. I squint my eyes and I see the basic areas of light and dark that are present, and I am marking that out in this thumbnail drawing. So this thumbnail drawing is really helping me to map out where the main values are, and I map out where those dark areas of dark value are. And so that's what I'm doing with the kind of the folds that are in the fabric. I'm marking out what portions of it are darkest in value and what areas are medium in value. Now mark out that foreground area that's a little bit lighter in value than the background, and I make that slightly lighter in value, and I reinforce the background portion, made that darker, and use the charcoal pressed down hard to make that dark, that portion of the background that's to the left of the jug there. Now I very subtly just mark out that shadow area that's on the inside part of the jug. Now this is a small detail that's not really very necessary to mark out, but it helps me, and it just helps to add that in there to make the drawing more cohesive. When doing a thumbnail drawing like this, it's really important to always keep in mind to not get taken and carried away by details, because that's not the purpose of this at all. Don't worry even about making the drawing look like a particular subject, the subject that you're drawing or trying to work towards. Just worry about getting the light and dark values working in your thumbnail drawing and drawing them as you see them. That is really the most important thing. It's far more important than having the drawing look like what you're drawing, because if you get those light and dark values, if you understand them, and you then are able to take that to your painting is going to turn out far superior than if you did not understand that, and it'll actually look more like what your subject matter is than if you don't understand it. Now I just go over some areas here in my drawing. I reinforce that shadow portion that's on the jug on the right side, and I also reinforce the background, the very dark background value that's behind the jug on both the right side, and I also earlier reinforced that on the left side. Now I also move into the territory where the folds are, because this is also a very dark value, and I draw those out here. Earlier I had already kind of drawn them, but they got mixed in when I smudged the area so that I could have the whole area just be medium in value, and now I'm going back in and I'm drawing out those dark folds. that are present. Now, if we were nitpicky and really looked at those folds, we'd probably say, okay, well, some of those folds there in the fabric, in that blue fabric, they're a bit lighter in value than the background. And yes, yeah, if we were really looking closely, yeah, they would be. But when we squint our eyes, we see that they're grouped together. They're similar to the value of the background. They're much more similar to the background value than the white jug. So that's why we put those in the category with the background, because we are simplifying in this thumbnail drawing. We're trying to get the basic light, medium, dark values in this, and just trying to get the bare bones, most simple way of capturing the light here. And that will help so much when you then go to your painting. You'll really be able to nail getting a realistic sense of light. And I use my finger here to smudge away some of that very dark value that reached its way more to the foreground portion of the drawing. And it is lighter than the background. So I mark that away with my finger. Using your finger to just lightly mark away areas can be helpful if you want to lighten them, especially with charcoal. It works brilliantly with charcoal. I reinforce some of the areas here that on the far right side of the drawing, that this area is rather dark in value, so I make that very dark and I emphasize that here. Now with my finger, I very lightly smudge away some charcoal to make some of the areas lighter that are in the fabric portion of the still life. That's a detail that isn't necessary, but I just wanted to do at the end here of this thumbnail drawing. Thank you for joining me in this tutorial. If you have any questions at all, just leave them in the comment section below and I will get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel to get more content. Thank you so much.